Hello, my fellow football fanatics. Welcome back to another week of Stirring the Pot, where we read the stats and make the picks. I'm your host tonight, Tyler Mullendore. How you doing out there, people? Welcome to the show. All right, kicking off tonight, the first game we got tomorrow, Thursday night, Bills and Patriots. The Bills are 8-3. The Pats are 6-5. They got the Bills favored by 3.5 on this one. Last week the Bills beat Detroit Lions. Last week the Patriots lost to Minnesota. All right, we got Josh Allen for the Bills with his over under at 268.5 yards, going up against the number 9 pass defense of the Patriots. And we got Mac Jones of the Patriots with his over under at 228.5, going up against the number 19 pass defense of the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills to win this game, guys. I know Josh Allen's kind of been struggling lately. I think maybe he had that elbow problem, so maybe that's an issue with him. 268 yards. The Pats got a good defense. I'm taking the under on his yards. I am taking the Bills to win. I'm probably taking the under on Jones' yards too. I think Jones will struggle more than Allen. All right, next game, guys. We got the Jets and the Vikings. All right, the Jets are 7-4. The Vikings are 9-2. They got the Vikings favored by 3 on this one. Last week the Jets beat Chicago. Last week the Vikings beat New England. And the Jets, who they got spinning the ball for them, old White. He had a career game last week, being as typically he doesn't have but a few starts, but this guy's actually pretty good. And their head coach is talking about he don't know who if it's going to be Wilson or White, but he's going to be going up against the number 32 pass defense of the Vikings. All right, they'll be going up against the Vikings number 32 pass D. And the Vikings got Kirk Cousins throwing the ball up against the number 8 pass D of the Jets. I'm going to take the Jets actually to win this game. I think this game is going to be a fun one to watch. I'm only going to picking the Jets because I've been riding with them all year and they've been doing good to me. The Vikings are a pretty good team, so we'll see. The Jets got the number 8 pass D, so Cousins is going to struggle against this Jets defense. The Vikings got the number 32 pass D, so White is going to have him another game. I'm calling the upset. All right, next game, Commanders and Giants. The Commanders are favored by 2.5 on this one. The Commanders are 7-5. The Giants are 7-4. Last week the Commanders beat Atlanta. Last week the Giants lost to Dallas. The Commanders got Heineke throwing the ball against the number 16 pass D of the Giants. And the Giants got old Daniel Jones throwing the ball against the number 10 pass D of the Commanders. So I'm actually going to pick the Commanders on this one. I don't know about the points. I would probably take the points. 2.5 ain't that many points. And I think it's going to be a pretty good game to watch, actually. Two middle of the road defenses. We'll see how good Heineke and Jones are on their up and coming paths. All right, next game we got Titans and Eagles. This one should be a fun one too. Actually, they got the Eagles favored by 5.5 on this one. The Titans are 7-4. The Eagles are 10-1. Last week the Titans lost to Cincinnati, and last week the Eagles beat Green Bay. Titans got Tannehill throwing the ball against the number 2 pass defense of the Eagles, and Hurts throwing the ball against the number 31 pass D of the Titans. The Titans play this physical game of football, and so I think this game's going to be closer than people think. I think the Eagles are ultimately going to win this game because they're the better team, but I don't know if I would take the points. I think it's a low scoring game and it's a lot closer than people think. just because of the way the Titans play such a physical game. All right. Next game, Broncos, Ravens. The Ravens favored by 8 on this one. The Broncos are 3-8. The Ravens are 7-4. Last week, the Broncos lost to Carolina. Last week, the Ravens lost to Jacksonville in a thriller. Jacksonville went for the extra 2-point conversion to win the game in the fourth quarter. Jacksonville finally got their dub. Like we were saying last week, people are always favoring Jacksonville, and I'm like, why? Well, look at them now. They beat the Ravens. But anyways, the Broncos are 3-8. The Broncos lost to Carolina. They got Russell Wilson throwing the ball, which they're talking about. They're talking about benching Russell Wilson out there, man. What happened to this guy? But anyways, he's going up against the number 27 pass D of the Ravens. So, he may have a bounce back game. The Ravens got old Lamar Jackson going up against the number 3 pass defense of the Broncos. So we'll see if the Ravens can bounce back. We'll see if the the Broncos continue to lose. I'm taking the Ravens in this one. I mean, 8 points. I'll probably take the points, but it may end up being closer. Both these teams are kind of struggling, but the Broncos are really, really struggling. So, all right. Next game, Browns, Texans, another fun one, guys. The Browns are favored by 7 in this one. The Browns are 4-7, and the Texans are 1-9. So, obviously, the Browns look like the better team here, but in the Browns last week they beat Tampa Bay, which Tampa Bay's falling apart. And last week the Texans lost to Miami, which Miami's on a heater. But the Browns are getting old Deshaun Watson back this week. Old dirty Deshaun, he's back. And a lot of people are thinking that he's going to be, a top 5 quarterback or whatever. But I'm here to tell you, folks, this guy has only been at the facility for like a week. So I don't know. This is like the preseason for him. I mean, I think I think they'll probably beat the Texans. But then again, I don't know because, when teams go back, when players get traded and they go back to visit their original team that they were from, that they had been there for a while, like the Texans with Deshaun Watson. The Texans may come out and show some of that crazy magic where, they're so excited to just beat Deshaun Watson that they may come out and this may be a trap game for the Browns. The Texans may beat this one. I, you know, I almost would pick the Texans. I definitely am not taking the points on the Browns. Texans got the number 17 pass D. Browns got the number 15 pass D, and the Texans got this guy Kyle Allen throwing the ball. Guess it's his second week throwing the ball for him, but we'll see. So we'll see. He has potential because he hasn't had any starts yet, but you know how that goes. We'll see. Next game, Jaguars and Lions. This actually, I think, is going to be a more fun game to watch than what you think. The Jaguars are 4-7. The Lions are 4-7. Check this out, guys. They got the Lions favored by 1. It's like I was saying last week, they're always trying to favor the Jaguars. The Jaguars finally beat the Ravens last week, and now they're favoring the Lions. I'm taking the Jaguars to win this game. Last week, the Lions lost to Buffalo. The Jaguars got Trevor Lawrence. He threw the 2-point conversion to win the game in the fourth quarter last week. I see that dude got a huge boost of confidence with that. So I think it's going to carry over to this week. We got, and he's going up against the number 29 pass D of the Lions. And Jared Goff of the Lions going up against the number 25 pass D of the Jaguars. So look for this game, hopefully, to be a little bit higher scoring game. I think this one, hopefully, it'll be a shootout and be a fun one to watch and to come down to the final drive. That kind of football we all love. All right, next game, Steelers, Falcons. Yeah, here we go. The old mediocrity bowl. Steelers are 4-7. Falcons are 5-7. Falcons favored by 1 on this one. Last week, the Steelers beat Indianapolis Colts. A lot of people talking about Kenny Pickett looking a lot better, finally getting on a roll. And the let's see, Kenny Pickett going up against the number 28 pasty of the Falcons. So look for continued success from Kenny Pickett this week against the Falcons. Mariota going up against the number 30 pasty of the Steelers. Well, this may be a similar situation that we had in the last matchup where you got two poor defenses and two quarterbacks that have the potential to throw the ball pretty well. So maybe this game comes down to a little bit closer. Well, it's only 1 point. So I'm taking the Steelers. I'm taking Kenny Pickett to continue success. And Mariota, they lost to the Commanders last week. I was kind of on the Mariota train for a while, but I'm pumping the brakes on that one for a little bit because he's doing mediocrity things. So, he's struggling. All right, next game, guys. We got the Packers against the Bears. The Packers favored by 4.5 on this one. The Packers are 4-8. The Bears are 3-9. Last week the Packers lost to Philly. Last week the Bears lost to the Jets. All right, Rodgers throwing the ball for the Packers, even though he hurt his thumb last week. He said he's good to go this week against the Bears. So a lot of people are saying, well, of course Rodgers wants to play the Bears because he always is spanking them. So Rodgers going up against the number 12 pass D of the Bears, and Fields for the Bears going up against the number 4 pass D of the Packers. Everyone's talking about, is Rodgers done? Are they moving on to Jordan Love? I heard Aaron Rodgers said that if they get mathematically eliminated, then he's open to the idea of sitting out the rest of the season and letting Jordan Love get some practice in, which makes you think that maybe Aaron Rodgers wants to go to another team after this season, which we don't know. But if Aaron Rodgers says he's good to go and he wants to go out there and beat the Bears, then I believe that man is going to go out there and beat the Bears. The Bears are 3-9. I know the Packers are only 4-8, but I'm taking the Packers to beat the Bears. I'm not going to take the points. Big divisional game. You know how those are, always tight. All right, next game, Dolphins, Niners. Niners favored by 4 in this one, fellas. The Dolphins are 8-3. The Niners are 7-4. So, I kind of disagree with this. The point spread on this, everyone's saying, oh, well, the Dolphins got to travel to the Bay or whatever, and they got to leave one beach and fly across the country, blah, blah, blah. These guys are professional athletes. They're paid millions of dollars. Think they can handle a flight from Miami to San Francisco, from one beach paradise to another beach paradise. Like, they're not climbing mountains. They're just getting on a plane. Okay. So I guess the Niners got home field advantage on this one, but I feel like the Dolphins are a better team. I mean, everyone's excited about the Niners because Christian McCaffrey, but Jimmy G is kind of just keeping them middle of the road. Last week they beat New Orleans, but they only scored like 13 points. The Dolphins beat Houston last week. Whoop-de-doo, which the Dolphins are explosive. So the Dolphins are the team to watch out for. Tua throwing the ball against the number 11 pass D of the Niners. Jimmy G throwing the ball against the number 22 pass D of the Dolphins. This will probably be a fun game to watch, guys. Game of the week on that one besides the Chiefs, baby. All right, next game, Seahawks, Rams. The Seahawks favored by 7.5 on this one. Seahawks are 6-5. The Rams are 3-8. Last week the Seahawks lost to the Vegas Raiders in overtime. I think it was 34-40, a high scoring game, like the Seahawks been doing all year, putting up points. Last week the Rams lost to old Kansas City. Kansas City covered the spread, baby, just barely, 26-10 in a thriller. Thriller. All right. Let's see. Rams are 3-8. Seahawks got old Geno Smith throwing the ball up against the number 20 pass D of the Rams. The Rams, check this out. They said, well, they got this guy Perkins that threw the ball last week, but their coach Sean McVay said that if Matthew Stafford's still going to be out again another week, that he may go to the next quarterback, which I don't know his name, the third stringer, or he said that he may play a combination of the two. So what I like to say, if you got a quarterback situation and it ain't a good one, then I'm betting against you. I'm taking the Seahawks. I'm taking the points. The Rams are spiraling out of control. We all know that. Matt Stafford, he won, like we've been talking about all year. He won the Super Bowl, and then now he wasn't good, and now he's hurt. So maybe he's done. Who knows? Next game, ladies and gentlemen, is the Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. The rematch of our last game of the season last year, the game before the Super Bowl, the AFC Championship game, the game that these Bengals just we really shouldn't talk about the game, but we're going to talk about the game that we lost just a little bit, because this is why. Because we're going to correct our mistakes, and the same thing's not going to happen. Because what happened last year was Patrick Mahomes struggled at the end of the first half and lost his confidence and was unable to regain it in the second half, and therefore had one of the worst halves of football he's ever played, and they just barely beat us anyway. So as long as we don't just choke for an entire half of football, I think we're going to win this one. And you know what? Now that we've already lost to them once, and this ain't that, I mean, this is a big game, but it's not the AFC Championship game. I think like the pressure is off. So I'm looking for the Chiefs to get out there and beat them. And they only got the Chiefs favored by 1.5. Come on now. The Bengals are 7-4. We're 9-2. The Bengals struggled the first half of the season. People were writing that team off. Last week they did beat Tennessee. Last week the Chiefs beat the Rams. Chiefs, we got old Patty Mahomes going up against the number 14 pass D of the Bengals, and Joe Burrow going up against the number 21 pass D of the Chiefs. I mean, the Bengals and the Chiefs are kind of built similarly in the fact that the Chiefs and the Bengals both have good run defenses, but on their offense, they don't. I mean, they have good running backs, but they prefer to have a shootout. So they're like throw first, run second, have a good run defense, and then we'll just see what happens on the back end, and we'll just shoot it out to the end. So this could be a fun game to watch, but the Chiefs are going to win because we're the king of shootouts. Like that's what we do. We're the best at that. We have Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback, and we have Andy Reid, the best offensive mind out there. So this is what's going to happen, folks. We're just going to outduel. We're going to outduel them. And you know what the Chiefs have? A good run defense. So that's what we do. We're going to shut down their running game, and then it's going to come down to old Patty Mahomes v. Joe Burrow. Let the ding, ding, ding. Let's see it. Can't wait. I'm saying Chiefs by 8. Chiefs by 8 at least. All right. Next game, Chargers, Raiders. All right. They got the Chargers favored by 1.5 on this one. The Chargers are 6-5. The Raiders are 4-7. Last week, the Chargers beat Arizona. Last week, the Raiders beat Seattle. Chargers got Herbert throwing the ball against the number 26 pass D of the Raiders. Raiders got Carr throwing the ball against the number 18 pass D of the Chargers. Divisional matchup here. The Raiders just barely beat Seattle last week. I'm taking the Chargers in this one, and I'm taking the points. I think this is an easy pick. I think the Raiders got lucky last week. I mean, they're 4-7. They could have easily been 3-8. The Raiders are not doing well this year, and I think the Chargers are just a few, healthy people away from being a potential threat. You know what I'm saying? So I think the Chargers have a higher ceiling here, and the Raiders are struggling to stay above water. So I'm taking the Chargers and I'm taking the points. All right, next game, Sunday night, Colts and Cowboys. They got the Cowboys favored by 11 in this one. Cowboys are 8-3 and the Colts are 4-7. You know, typically the Cowboys being favored by this many points, I'd say they're probably, due to start choking it up. So we'll see how they do. I don't know. The Colts are stinking pretty bad this year. So that I'm definitely taking the Cowboys to win. Last week the Colts lost to Pittsburgh. Last week the Cowboys beat the Giants. Matt Ryan throwing the ball for the Colts against the number 1 pass D of the Cowboys. And the Colts give up a ton of sacks. Ryan's always pressured and all that. So the Cowboys defense is going to have a heyday. The Colts got the number 5 pass D, Dak Prescott. I don't know. I think the Cowboys are going to win. I don't know about no 11 points, but I'm definitely taking the Cowboys to win. And watch out, Matt Ryan. All right. Next game, Monday night, Saints and Bucks. The Saints are 4-8. The Bucks are 5-6. The Bucks are favored by 4 in this one. Last week, the Bucks lost to Cleveland. Last week, the Saints got shut out by San Fran. Saints got Dalton throwing the ball against the number 6 pass D of the Bucks. And the Buccaneers got Tom Brady throwing the ball against the number 7 pass D of the Saints. Here's my thoughts. Saints and Bucks. I think the Saints got a shot. I really do. And I'm not just pulling your leg on that one. Tom Brady has been struggling. They lost to the Browns last week. They're 5-6. They're under 500. Tom Brady's doing the worst he's ever done in his entire life. I could see this as a trap game for the Bucks. Everyone thinks the Bucks can win this game. The Saints have a good overall record against the Bucks. You know what I'm saying? Like historically. So this game isn't like out of reach. This isn't like a David and Goliath type of fight that I think a lot of people think it is an easy pick on the Bucks. I'm going to say that this is probably more of a pick'em game, that the Bucks are only favored because they're at home. And I would almost look for the Saints to upset them because the Bucks are struggling that bad. They're both got pretty good defenses, number 6 and number 7 on the defenses. So this is probably going to be a low-scoring game, anybody's game, one of those weird ones, 12-15 or something crazy. So this game is going to probably be like the Colts and the Steelers game last week. So I'm actually going to pick the Saints in the upset. But all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, my fellow football fanatics, thanks for watching another episode of Stir in the Pot. We'll see you next week.